The more creative you are, the more deals you can do and the more money you can make. What's your problem? What's the right solution? And let me provide that solution.
You can create whatever deal you want. Like the offer is whatever you create. This is a real strategy. It's not theory. People do this every single day.
This video is brought to you by PropWire, the only real estate software with county courthouse leads, including code violations, divorce, bankruptcies, and liens. Check it out now at propwireleads.com.
We want to talk about on this series, like boil it down to somebody who is just getting started in wholesaling, wants to get their first deal, the easiest way to get that deal for free using free software like Zillow, because I mean, it's something that you have a lot of content about outreach on, listed properties. And a lot of my students, when they first get started, either they're waiting on paying for marketing or they just don't have the funds to start paying for marketing. And I give them some tips on how to get your first deal literally for free just using Zillow. Yeah. And at the very least, you're going to get a lot of practice calling sellers and agents and getting the marbles out of your mouth and getting the rhythm and practice underwriting deals and understanding the model, right?
Love that, yeah.
We want to talk about how to find a property that you can wholesale simply using Zillow, right? And one of the strategies that a lot of people talk about is for sale by owner, right? Because they're not using an agent. And we'll talk about how to look for the deals that we want to call. Another strategy, which I actually teach a lot to my students, is like setting up your criteria on Zillow of properties you want to get alerted with like a notification. And every time a property hits the MLS and gets posted on Zillow, whatever that criteria is, it's going to alert you, and you could be the first person to call that agent. Where if something's been sitting for 60 days, they've probably been called a million times. But if it's day one, I have a couple students that find a lot of success hitting that day one, putting that low offer in, getting it under contract, and then moving it to their buyer.
Yeah, I do too. You double end it. So call the listing agent direct. And if it's priced right and you come in there, everyone's scheduling showings and you can squeeze in there, sneak in there. I call it the stars align, where seller's motivated, agent's ready to go, gets their offer written up, and you get it in front of the seller and they sign the same day it comes out. I get a lot of deals that way. And just because you beat everybody to the game. So it's speed. I remember one time, Tony, I got notified on Zillow or Redfin, and I was busy doing something. I saw the notification. I'm like, ooh, that looks like a good deal. Let me finish sending my email. And then I call and they're busy. Like they're not answering. Not answering. I'm like, crap.
Everybody saw.
Finally, I get a hold of her like 10 minutes later and she's like, it's already gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how fast hot deals go.
Sure. Yeah, you're not the only person doing this.
If that thing comes out at 9 p.m., you're on the phone. I don't care what you're doing if you want to get those good deals.
Exactly.
There's strategies with the long days on market,
Sure.
But that's one is the fast. So what I like to do, Tony, is let's take Zillow, but before we do Zillow, there's an easier one, and that's Redfin. And the reason why Redfin, between the three big ones, which is there's four big ones. There's Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, and Realtor.com. And Trulia owns Zillow. Zillow and Trulia are basically the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They're owned by the same people.
Sure.
I ignore Trulia, but Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. Now, Realtor.com, what's cool about them is they have a checkbox in their filters called Fixer Upper. And what Redfin does is they have an algorithm that looks at the description for keywords, and then they'll classify it as a Fixer Upper.
Like looking for an investor, as
motivated
is,
seller,
cash,
as
all that
is,
kind of stuff.
things like
TLC.
that. Yep, needs work,
right?
All those things. They have their own thing. That's super fast. You go in, you click your county or your market, hit the tab that shows you all the filters. You'll see it. It's called Fixer Upper. Checkbox it. And it'll give you 20 or whatever is in your market. Start there. Call those. Those are distressed.
That's a distressed property at the very least.
And then save your search and say, I want to be notified immediately. So then when a new one comes out that hits the Fixer Upper category, you'll get an email notification. Call instantly. Now, Zillow, I wish Zillow had that same feature. So what I've done, Tony, is I've got a master list of like 200 plus keywords. And it takes you a minute to do this. And it won't let you search multiples. Like you can't add a comma.
Right.
But in their search bar, I'll put in there, and I've got like the top ones, but like Fixer Upper. And I'll put Fixer Upper, my market, and I'll save it. And I'll save it as Macomb County fixer-upper, so I'll save the search as the keyword.
Yes.
And now I've got a whole bunch of those set up. And every time there's a new listing that has that keyword in the description, it'll notify you. It's more manual than Redfin created, but you could do it on Zillow and actually create saved searches with keyword phrases.
So it's going to notify you every time something pops up there.
And then you get notified. Now, that's going to save you time because you could just scour everything and just look for like distress.
Yeah,
that's
it's not
another
very,
way to do it.
Not very efficient.
Not very efficient, but you could do it that way.
You could do it.
Yeah.
You could actually just look at everything for sale, like on the map, and then you can see the properties to the right, and you can see what's distressed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like one of the, I don't know, we can maybe give some tips on like what are you looking for in a distressed property. I mean, the keywords is probably the best way to do it to be really efficient with it. But even when I'm like running comps, and I just see one picture of a property, if it's like from a cell phone or something, like it's a crappy picture, you're gonna know if grass is overgrown, if there's boarded up windows, if the roof looks really old. I mean, there's ways you can see like this is probably a distressed property.
Definitely.
I can probably click.
In
on
fact, if you've got limited time and you set up like, let's take that Redfin search, and it gives you a whole list. If I've got limited time, what I'll do is I'll scroll through and just look for something ugly.
Look for something ugly.
And start
there. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Look for something ugly.
That is great. That's a
and
great
you can tell, like, whoa, that there's a tarp on the roof,
Right. Yeah, that is ugly. Look for something ugly.
Now,
Don't do that at the bar when you're looking for women, but definitely do it when you're looking for wholesale
It's
deals.
the opposite. Yeah. The uglier the better with houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Not with dating. No.
I love it. So then, I mean, it comes down to picking up the phone and dialing, and especially for newbies, it's just having those conversations and running numbers, right? Yeah. So you can use Zillow, you can use Redfin, Realtor to find these properties. They're pretty easy to spot. I think day one is a really good strategy. Mm-hmm. You're right. I mean, if something's been sitting a long time, call those too. I mean, it's all free marketing at this point. All the for sale by owners. This is a real strategy. It's not theory. People do this every single day. You have a ton of videos on it.
Yeah.
And our students are having success doing this.
We even created a tool. This is how it works. We call it Data Cruncher. What it does is it's a scraper tool. It's free. Just go to mydatacruncher.com and you can download it. And what we do is we go back and we look at all the data that's sold in that zip code, and then it gives you an average price per square foot of all those sold homes. And then it says, okay, if all the homes sold for $150 a foot, then we're going to take anything that's actively listed under $150 a foot, and we'll give you that list.
That's great. It could either be something that needs a ton of work or something that you can just get locked up low enough, right?
Yeah, sometimes there's clean stuff on there. It's just priced really good.
I mean, they're motivated then.
Yep.
They're pricing their house low or they have an agent that doesn't know how to price a home.
The one thing, too, I would say if you're doing agents, because a lot of these are going to be listed, is go straight to the listing agent. Don't have buyer representation.
Right.
Offer to give them that side, the buyer side, right?
That's the value, right?
That's the value.
If we're calling agents to get a property under contract for less than they have it listed for, that agent is way more inclined to be pitching the seller, hey, this is a good offer. You should take this cash offer at this price, because the agent knows they're getting both sides of that commission.
They're going to go to bat.
They're going to go to bat for you,
They're gonna
because
work hard.
even if the offer was $20,000, $30,000 higher and they're only getting one side of that commission, they're going to make more off of your offer that's cash and low. So they're going to go, all of a sudden you have this agent that's working for the seller, but now they're working for you because they're making more in commissions.
Yeah, and don't lose sight of the bigger picture. I tell people all the time, it's never about the deal at hand. It's about the relationship. So even if you call and you need to be at 150 and it's listed for 250 or whatever, still call, still make the offer, because you're making a connection. And what you really want is the relationship. So that way, the next time that agent sits at a listing appointment with a distressed property, they're calling you and you're working out a deal before they list it.
Yes, which
so
would
I
be
coach
better.
all my agents on doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Even if it's not the right deal for them, have that good conversation with them, create that relationship, because if you can't come to the right number, it's not the right seller that's motivated, leave that conversation with, well, I'm an investor in this area. Next time you get a pocket listing, next time somebody brings you a property that is going to need some work, definitely call me. And before this thing even gets listed, I'll make you an offer.
And what's great about the new commission structure with NAR now is all of it's negotiable. It was always negotiable, but it was such a hard culture on The seller pays 3%, and then the seller pays the buyer side. Now it's all up for grabs. So what I'm telling my agents now is, I'll say, look, when you sit down with a seller and it's distressed, tell that seller, I've got an investor and they'll cover the commission. You don't have to pay any commission, and I'll pay you 10%.
Right.
Not 3 and 3, not 6, 10. Now I'm going to bake it into my number.
Sure.
But you get the deal done, I'll pay you 10%. Now they're bringing a value to the seller by saying you don't have to pay the commission. I got a cash offer. I got a cash buyer. Let's see if this number works for you. If it does, let's get a deal done. No showings, no inspections, no appraisals, none of that. So everybody wins.
Yes. That's the beautiful thing about wholesaling. You can create whatever deal you want. Like, the offer is whatever you create. And I think people get too into the weeds on, the structure of an offer. It's like, you can literally make it whatever you want. Like you just said, like, it doesn't have to be a strict 3% commissions. You came up with an offer where it's 10% commissions, even more attractive to the agent, but you bake it into your number and offer even lower on it because that's baked into the offer. It's a beautiful thing. We control this transaction. We can offer whatever we could offer $1 if we wanted. Right? It's such a crazy industry, right?
It's whatever you can structure with somebody is what you can do on a deal. For me, it's all creative. And I mean, not creative financing, but it's all your creativity. The more creative you are, the more deals you can do and the more money you can make. Because what we should be doing is figuring out, okay, what's your problem? What's the right solution? And let me provide that solution. And we'll even list properties for people if they want retail.
Exactly.
Because why throw that lead away if they still want to sell? They just want retail. Okay, why don't we list it for you?
Yeah,
exactly. You have to have a license for that. So
Like,
there's just be creative.
Yeah, solutions based. Like, that's what sales is somebody has a problem, you're solving it. I don't care what it is. If I walk into a store, into Foot Locker, I got a problem. I need a pair of shoes. And I need somebody there to solve it. Like, what's your size? What's your style? Let me go get it for you, right? That's a sale. Same with wholesaling. It's like, somebody has a property and they need money. Let me figure out how to buy this property and get you that money in the quickest way.
And Tony, the whole point of this conversation is like, no money strategies. And when people come into this business, most people, not everybody, most people come in and they've got some time, a little bit of time or a lot of time, and no money. Like, that's pretty much most people that get into wholesaling. No money. And even if you have money, investing that money into marketing in the beginning is probably not a smart idea. Learn how to transact. There's so many ways where you can do free strategies. We're talking about one just on the free sites like Zillow and Realtor.com and stuff. That's just one way to do free. But do some transactions, get some cash in the bank. Don't go blow it on stupid stuff. Right. Reinvest that now into some higher value marketing. Get a cold caller, like you guys do cold calling a lot. Hire some cold callers. Now you're pre-qualifying and getting warm leads handed to you in your lap. Spend some money there. Like, build it.
Think of how much better you're going to be on the phones after you have called all this free data that we see on these websites, whether it's for sale by owner or an agent, and having 50, 100 conversations before you start spending money on marketing. Because if you start day one and you're spending money on marketing and you haven't gotten the marbles out of your mouth, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know how to underwrite deals, you could waste some money trying to get your first deal where, hey, you just got started, you're learning. YouTube University is great. I tell this story a lot where right when I got into wholesaling, pretty much the whole drive from San Diego to North Carolina, I was watching your videos on YouTube trying to figure out what wholesaling was. Like, I was jumping into an industry I knew nothing about. That's great. But until you get on the phones and start going through the process, you can learn as much as you want all day. If you don't take action, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think the advice here is, especially if you're watching this video and you've watched a lot of Jerry's videos and you haven't made a call yet, like, you guys know, if you know me and you know Jerry, you know enough information to pick up the phone. So, I hate to say this, but turn YouTube off.
Turn it off.
And get on the phone. I know you have, do you have purchase agreements on your on your website?
We give them away for free. Wholesalercontracts.com. Give them away.
Wholesalercontracts.com. Get a purchase agreement. You have a free purchase agreement. You got all the content in the world with me and Jerry's YouTube videos and Instagram. You guys can get a deal. So start making those calls. It's free marketing. Lock up your deal and get the process going, right?
You're going to learn way more fumbling through a deal than you ever will watching more content.